Look at the American flag. Now imagine it with only 3 colors and a symbol you've been taught to hate in the center. Most people believe the Allied victory was inevitable. They're wrong. We were 3 bad decisions away from a world where Washington, D.C. is a satellite state of Berlin and Los Angeles is a Japanese colony. In this video, we aren't just looking at a loss, we're looking at the erasure of the American dream, from the Manhattan Project that failed to the invasion of the East Coast. Point number 1 is a secret German weapon that almost turned the tide, and if it had, you wouldn't be here today. Let's dive in. Number 1. Let's start the America bomber, the Manhattan flip. In our timeline, the US won the race for the atomic bomb, but real historical records data found in the ruins of Berlin show that the German Heisenberg project was terrifyingly closer than we admit. Imagine the year is 1945. Instead of Hiroshima, the first atomic cloud rises over London, or Times Square. The Luftwaffe had already designed and was testing the Horton Ho 18, a massive stealth flying wing capable of crossing the Atlantic. Its mission? The America Bomber Project. If the Nazis had married their advanced jet technology with a functional nuclear warhead, the U.S. industrial heartland would have been paralyzed before we even stepped foot on a French beach. The suspense here is chilling. By the time the U.S. realized a strike was coming, it would have been too late. The arsenal of democracy would have been turned into a graveyard of radioactive ash. Ask yourself, if your city was vaporized tomorrow, would you want your government to surrender to save your life, or keep fighting until there was nothing left to burn? Number 2. The fall of the unsinkable carrier. Without Great Britain, the United States is a giant without a sword. In 1942, the U-boat blockade in the Atlantic was so successful that Britain was weeks away from literal starvation. This was point 24 in the German naval handbook, Choke the Island Until It Begs for Mercy. If the Nazi Enigma code hadn't been broken at Bletchley Park, the U.S. would have been cut off from Europe entirely. With Britain forced to sign a humiliating peace treaty, the U.S. would have been pushed into Fortress America isolated, alone, and facing the combined naval might of the entire world. The Atlantic would no longer be a moat, it would be a highway for an invasion. Imagine thousands of Axis ships appearing on the horizon of the East Coast, with no allies left to help us stop them. Number 3. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. While Germany pushed from the east, Japan had a plan so dark it was buried for decades by military censors. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. Real declassified documents show that the Imperial Japanese Navy planned to use their massive Wine 400 submarines, the largest subs of the war, to launch planes over California. Their cargo wasn't bombs. It was the bubonic plague. The plan was to unleash biological warfare on San Diego and Los Angeles to kill millions and cause a total societal collapse. In this timeline, the U.S. doesn't just lose a war, it loses its population to a medieval disease in a modern age. How do you fight a tank when your entire neighborhood is dying of the Black Death? This is the ultimate silent invasion, designed to break the American spirit before a single Japanese soldier ever touched the sand. Number 4. The Great Partition, the divided states. By 1947, in this alternate reality, the war reaches the American mainland. After a brutal struggle across the Appalachian Mountains, the surrender is signed on the ruins of the White House. The U.S. is no longer united. It is carved up like a piece of meat. The Greater German Reich takes everything east of the Mississippi, turning Washington, D.C. into a regional headquarters for the SS. The Japanese Pacific states claim the West Coast, turning San Francisco into a primary naval hub for the Imperial Fleet. The Midwest, the neutral zone, becomes a lawless, starving wasteland, a place where the American dream goes to die and where survivors scramble for scraps under the eyes of foreign occupiers. Number 5. The erasure of the soul. This is the most standard, magnificent, yet terrifying point. It isn't about the land, it's about the mind. In the occupied states, English is slowly phased out of schools. The Constitution is treated as a terrorist document and burned in public squares. History is rewritten to show that democracy was a failed experiment of a weak race. The curiosity here is haunting. If you were born in this 1960, you wouldn't even know what the word liberty meant. You would be taught to worship the very empires that destroyed your family. You would be a stranger in your own country, speaking a foreign tongue and serving foreign gods. In a world where the truth is illegal, how would you even know you are a slave? Number 6. The industrial slave state. The U.S. was the world's factory, but under Axis rule, that factory is turned against its own people. Detroit and Pittsburgh no longer build cars for families, they build weapons for the Reich's next conquest. American citizens are forced into labor battalions, working 14-hour days to fuel a global empire that never sleeps. The suspense builds as you realize that the very technology we use today, jets, rockets, and computers, would have been developed solely for the purpose of oppression. In this 1950s, there is no suburban dream. There is only the factory, the ration card, and the fear of the secret police knocking on your door at midnight. Number 7. The space race of the dictators. In our world, the space race was a competition for human achievement. In the Axis timeline, it is a competition for high ground dominance. By 1955, Germany and Japan are locked in their own Cold War. They aren't looking for the moon to explore, they are looking for the moon to build orbital weapon platforms. Imagine looking up at the night sky and knowing that a laser or a nuclear rod is pointed directly at your city from a base with a swastika or a rising sun on it. The tension of this world is a constant low-frequency hum of dread. There is no escape, not even in the stars. Number 8. The Endgame, a world of two suns. We are at the final point. By the 1960s, the world has stabilized into a bipolar empire. Germany controls Europe, Africa, and the East Coast. Japan controls Asia, Australia, and the West Coast. The two empires are at a stalemate, both armed with nuclear weapons, both waiting for the other to blink. The real question isn't who wins this new Cold War. The real question is what happened to the American people. Did we become the very thing we fought against? Or is there a spark of resistance left in the neutral zone? The ultimate question: we live in the one timeline where the light didn't go out. But as we look at the rising tensions of 2026, we have to ask, are we heading back toward that dark path? Was the victory of 1945 a permanent win, or just a temporary delay? This has been a look at the America that almost was. It's a chilling reminder that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Drop a comment below if you lived in an occupied America. Would you join the underground resistance, or would you keep your head down to survive? I want to hear your survival strategy. The most chillingly realistic answer gets pinned to the top of the comments. And if you want to see what happens when a modern-day NATO invades the United States in a 2026 scenario, click the video on your screen right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the timelines that haunt our history. Thanks for watching.